Yeah. I don't know if people really like giving leads. I know people who absolutely hate them, detest them. And then there's me, and I'm okay with it. I always get nervous, but the longer I stay sober and the more I do it, the easier it gets. Although it's always different. I always forget something that I wanted to say. And I've been told that there are 3 leads that you give every time. One is the one you plan, one's the one you give when you get here, and the one you give on the way home. So who knows what I'm going to say tonight. Anyway, I count my sobriety from my first 24 hours sober, the last time I went to treatment, and that 24 hours was January 31st, 1986. I don't know why we call them rehab now, but it used to be treatment. And I did that 3 times. And I had good insurance, so they kept taking me back to the same place. But every time I'd leave there, I would go out and drink. I failed to do what they told me to do. I would go to the clubhouse where I got sober. It was in Indianapolis, Beach Grove, in Indiana. And I lived in Anderson, Indiana. And the clubhouse was called the Fifth Chapter House. We just called it the Chapter House. I would go there and sit in the parking lot and be scared to go in. Anybody ever done that? I would just be scared to go in. I've been to many AA meetings in all of those treatments, but never at home, never on my own. And I didn't particularly want to just walk in. Of course, I was living with my parents, and my parents thought that's what I was doing, but I would just sit in the parking lot until I started seeing people come out, and then I'd go home. So I kind of faked it a little bit. Anyway, I don't know how I got on that. I really don't know what I'm going to say. A couple of things that I want to tell you, though, about myself. I consider myself recovered alcoholic, and I don't share that in meetings a lot because people get scared. They think, oh my God, she's going to relapse. Something's wrong with her. I didn't say I'm cured. I have been recovered from the mental obsession of alcoholism by working the 12 steps of recovery, right? I still have the physical disease. I still have the brain disease. It's in my brain. There's no cure for that. And maybe never will be. Even if there is, I'd still be a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, I hope, because it changed my life. It saved my life. The other thing that I want to share with you is that I am an atheist. Now, people say, how can you be an atheist and work this program? Well, it works. At first, I didn't think I would be long. I didn't think there was any hope for me because there was God all over the wall and God all over the meetings, and the discussions. And then I found the 3rd step, which says God as I understand him, and the 3rd tradition. And the only requirement is a desire to stop drinking. It has nothing to do with God. And that's what my foundation is. That's why I was allowed to stay in AA, because I believe those things. And I've really never been challenged on it. Although one time, someone says, you can't be an atheist if you have a higher power. Well, yeah, I can. And I've been doing it for a while. Anyway, so, and other things people kind of want to know is, how do you work the steps if you don't believe in God? And that does not mean, not believing in God does not mean I don't have beliefs. I believe in a lot of things. Primarily, I believe in the principles of this program. I believe in honesty and truthfulness. I believe in my relationships. I believe in the goodness of people. All of the principles that we live by that come from the 12 steps. And for me, there's a lot deeper history to that, but I'm not going to go into that here because that's not what I'm here for. And so how do I work the steps? Well, in particular, when I first did step 3, and we have the 3rd step prayer in there. How did I do that? I wrote it myself. And I wrote it with my sponsor, who happens to be a very faithful Christian. And she said, write what it means for you. And I did that, and it worked. Same with the 7th step. I wrote that myself, and she accepted it. And I've been able to continue working the steps throughout all these years. So I did have one sponsor one time who happened to be agnostic, and she asked me, do you think other people think they have something that you don't have? And I said, yeah, I think people believe that. But you know what? I don't think so. because I was happy, joyous, and free. I have worked this program, I have stayed sober, and my life has been significantly changed since I stopped drinking. And it is because of this program. So, okay. Where do I want to go from there? I started drinking at about 15 years old. I don't believe I was born an alcoholic. I believe I had to work at it. I believe that I fit the description in the big book of the real alcoholic, right? Yeah. Once I start drinking, I'm unable to stop. That's the definition in the big book, and that fits me, even at 15. Now, at 15, I didn't drink every day. I couldn't get it every day. I drank without stopping every chance I got. I scared my friends. I stopped being invited to gatherings and parties because I drank all the alcohol. And I didn't even know it. I was a lush as a teenager. I was also a liar and a cheat and a thief. And so I was ready for this program when it came along. I was able to change those things. Not 100%. I'm not, like I said, I'm not cured. I'm not healed from all that. But the steps have made a difference in my life. Made myself some notes so I wouldn't forget some of this stuff. Oh, I say recovered. I started on that, didn't I? The big book says recovered about 30 times. It doesn't say recovering. It says recovered. And that comes from Dr. Jung's thing about ideas, emotions, and attitudes need changed for me to be able to get a new set of conceptions and motives that will begin to dominate my life. And that's what happened. That's being recovered, in my opinion. And not my opinion. I don't even need to say that. That's in the big book. And the second appendix, of course, the spiritual experience, says that a personality change sufficient to bring about recovery will manifest itself. And that spiritual personality change is being recovered. I've been reborn, right? Not in the spiritual, religious, in the spiritual sense, not in the religious sense, but being reborn. Okay, so I was raised by a mentally unstable mother and a drinking father. I no longer refer to him as an alcoholic. I don't know that. He never stopped drinking. He never went to any kind of treatment, but he drank quite a lot. One of his 3 jobs was, there were 6 kids in my family, so he had to have 3 jobs. One of his 3 jobs was being a bartender. So that was kind of built in for him. Anyway, I really didn't have any roots. I didn't have any stability. As a child, there were 6 kids. 3 of us are addicted, and 3 are not. The 3 who are not, one of them was pretty much addicted to religion. He's a little more stable now. My sister married an alcoholic, in her opinion. I didn't diagnose him. And the third one kind of was involved with an awful lot of women. He had a lot of relationships, whether he was married or not. So there was that. So the 3 of us addicted. My brother died from cancer at almost 25 years sober. And when that happened, he was cremated, but I gave his wife my 25-year token to put into his box, whatever that is that they burn them in. I'm not different in that, other than the things that I told you. I grew up like a lot of kids did. I was Catholic. I went to Mass. I went to a Catholic school for 8 years, so I was in Mass 6 days a week. We didn't go on Saturday, of course, but in school, we went to Mass every day of the week, and then on Sundays. Yeah. One time, I was about 13 years old, and my mom came in to wake me up on a Sunday, and she said, she had to come back and find out if I was getting up, right? And I wasn't. I was just going to sleep in, and she said, well, Beck, aren't you going to go to Mass? And I thought, oh, she gave me an option, and I said no. And that was the last time I went. Literally, that's what I thought. I think I can say no here at 13. So I said no. parents were pretty much overwhelmed with 6 kids. They didn't plan, they were Catholic, but they really didn't plan to have 6 kids. They just, do what people do and end up with 6 kids. So they didn't have a lot of time or energy for discipline. They didn't have a lot of time or energy, and I don't blame them. This is just the way life was. I had no roots and no stability because I didn't learn those things. What I did learn was to have fun whenever I could, to drink whenever I could. At 15, not quite 16 yet, it wasn't even legal, but I did go to my first psychiatric hospital. I had my first suicide attempt at that age. I stole somebody's coat in the locker in 10th grade out of her locker because she left her locker open. Somebody dared me to do it. I don't know why I did that, but I really liked that coat. And I waited 3 freaking days, and then I wore it to school. Guess what, kids? I got caught. So they sent me to a psych hospital because I was a thief and I was a little drunk. In those days, there were no adolescent or kid kinds of care, right? So I was in a psychiatric hospital in Indianapolis with adults who were seriously mentally ill. I never got therapy. I never saw a psychiatrist. Nothing. They just kept me there for 2 weeks and then sent me home. And so, of course, I just went on about my business. I did what I had always been doing. Suicide became kind of my go-to thing, besides drinking. I had probably 2 or 3 other attempts in those days, like up through the time that I got sober. It was always in the back of my mind. It was like, it's my go-to. If something bad happens, I'll just die. I'll just kill myself because I don't want to work at anything. I was afraid of living, first of all. I was really afraid of living. Death didn't scare me until one day, but I'll get to that. So where was I? Suicide attempts. I did, once I got sober, I did treatment 3 different times. I had a 10-year-old daughter when I got sober. I got married and divorced shortly after, 7 years after. The 3rd time I was in treatment, the staff, the therapist, learned that my daughter was sleeping with a butcher knife under her pillow. And they thought she was suicidal. I knew her better than that. She was 10 years old and she was terrified to be living alone because I was either out working or out drinking. And they put her in a psych hospital for a while. They did send her then after that to my brother's house. So my family kind of took over care of her. And they put me, they gave me an option, of course. They said, well, you can go to this halfway house and stay there until the staff thinks you're ready, or we're going to call Child Protection Services and take your child away. I went to that halfway house and I lived there with 8 other women for 8 months. Went to meetings every day in this place. I can remember the things that I learned there. I learned so much in treatment, but I also learned from these women. I did not know how to pick up a telephone and make a phone call. I was too afraid to do that. But old Jennifer over here, she could pick up a phone, and just talk her way through anything. I learned how to do that. Debbie knew how to make, this has been a long time ago, Debbie knew how to make a really killer taco salad. And I learned how to make a killer taco salad from Debbie. I don't know what's happened to those women. I know that I stayed sober because of the foundation that they gave me. And I'm really grateful for that. Okay, so where was I? Oh, getting sober. When I got out of treatment, I went home and stayed with my parents. Again, with my daughter. My dad had lymphoma, and he died 2 days after I got my 1-year token. And I'm so grateful that I was able to show him my token, and he said, I'm proud of you, Beck. And that's about the last time we had any discussion, but it was pretty cool. That he got to hold my token, my 1-year token, and tell me he was proud of me. So the last 2, I'm sorry, I'm backing up. People always do this. They leave stuff out and have to back up and do it. That's okay, right? Because everybody does it, I can do it too. The last 2 years of my drinking was around the clock. I lived in a really not a bad apartment. However, I lived there with nothing but my daughter. There were 2 mattresses. Her bedroom was on, that mattress was on the floor. My bedroom, the mattress was on the floor. We had no dressers or no other furniture. We lived out of boxes. I would work, and I would pay the rent, and I would buy alcohol. Oh, and cigarettes, of course. Sorry. Forgot where I was. And I was drinking around the clock because I would have, at that time I believe I was drinking a lot of Asti Spumante and a lot of Windsor Canadian. And I would come to, I didn't sleep, but I would pass out, and I would come to and reach over and grab that bottle off the floor and take a couple of hits off of it so that I could pass out again and somehow wake up in time to go to work. There were lots of times, like I said, she stayed by herself a lot of times because I wasn't around. And conveniently, I lived way far away from my family. Nobody knew anything that was going on. The way that I actually got sober was, one day I was a manager in this business, and I was supposed to have a staff meeting. She was at school, I was wasted, and I came out of my bedroom, and there was a mirror over here on the wall. And you know, I know you think I'm going to say God did that, but God didn't do that. Right? And I caught, kind of just out of the corner of my eye, I caught myself in that mirror, and I said to myself, I'm scared. At this point, I don't want to die. I wanted to live. It was the first time in my life I was more afraid of dying than I was of living, seriously. And they used to have, and I think they still do, I just don't notice it anymore, big billboards that say, call 1-800-KOALA or something like that, you know. So whatever that number was, I remembered it, and I called them. And they said, oh, okay, pack your stuff and come on down. I had to wait until my daughter came home from school, and I found somebody to take her. And I took off driving with, and I had this little yellow rabbit. I don't know what, you know what a rabbit, a Volkswagen rabbit? Yeah. And my favorite thing to do was have my bottle down here in the center between the seats and drive. And I would be going down 69, Indiana 69 south to Indianapolis to go drink or whatever I was doing. That night, of course, I also had my bottle with me. So I'm thinking I'm really hot stuff. I'm trying not to cuss. Hot stuff. And I'm carrying my bottle. What was it? It was Kahlua. I know, right? Gross. Syrup. And I'm carrying my bottle into this place, and the first thing they did, of course, was take my bottle and dump it out. It was probably 2 or 2:30 in the morning. They called in staff to do my intake, and they called in someone who I found out was just this awesome, beautiful Al-Anon woman, and she read to me, and you remember it clearly, I learned later what it was. She read out of the big book, she read the 9-step promises. And I'm like, wow. I was kind of overwhelmed. I don't believe that can happen to me. But I stayed, and that was my first time in treatment. 2 more times I stayed. The 3rd time was a relapse prevention group, and that's when they took my daughter. And I was able to go out of there. I went to halfway house. I was able to go out of there and stay sober from that point on. My daughter stayed with my brother and sister-in-law all of those months, and I went back to live with my mom and dad, and my dad passed away, and I kept going to meetings. I stayed in meetings, and eventually I got an apartment, and I was still scared, and I didn't know how to not drink yet, so it was an upstairs apartment, and I just would tell myself every day, there was a 9 o'clock meeting and a 7 o'clock meeting, and I would tell myself every day, if I can just get down those stairs and get to the chapter house, I'll be okay. And I did that day after day, and I did it twice a day. Gratefully, there were people in there who surrounded me. I found a sponsor. I was not willing to work the steps. And so 21 months into sobriety, 21 months without a drink, I had another suicide attempt. It was kind of fake. I didn't really want to die, but I also didn't know how to live yet. And I wasn't willing to work those steps because it said God everywhere. And my sponsor said, I learned later pretty much the same thing that Eddie said to Bill W. If you don't like this idea of God, make your own up. And I made it up. You know, and so I made a list of everything that was important to me, everything in the world that I liked or could think of that was good, and that became my higher power. And later I learned, oh, those were the principles of this program. I started working steps from that point on. And I know the date because that was my grandmother's birthday, November 2nd, 1986. 6? Yeah, no, 7, because it was 21 months later, November 2nd, 1987. Not sure how I stayed sober other than getting down those apartment steps and getting to a meeting, because it was within walking distance. So I did that a couple times a day. Okay, got to back up just a little bit. I didn't actually ever have any goals in my life. I kind of just fell into things, or I would take the easier, softer way. It was not AA at that time. The week that I left that halfway house, they offered me a job. And I went back and started working there the next weekend. And I worked there for quite a while, and then I needed kind of more of a job, right? Not just weekends. So I went to a treatment center, found people in the program who were working there, and they helped me get a job there. And it just went on from there. And so I ended up making a career out of it. Do you have voc rehab here? You know what vocational rehabilitation is? No? Well, Indiana has this program that the state funded my education. I got a bachelor's degree for free because they're thinking, and they're still around, their thinking is, it's a state program, their thinking is if you get a good job and you pay taxes, you will pay the state back. And that happened for me. So I was able to get my education and just started working. Then later, at 5 years sober, went back to school and got my master's degree, became a licensed clinical social worker, and my life was entirely involved in doing treatment programs for other addicts and alcoholics. It was hard for me I loved my job, but it was hard for me to keep separate my recovery from my job. So I stayed in meetings, I stayed with sponsors. I remember having one coworker who said very early on, she said, and she was new in the program, she's since died, some cancer. Sorry, just a memory shot in my head. She said, fuck this, I don't want to stay in here. They're paying me to stay sober. Okay then, go. But I looked at it a different way. I had my recovery, and it was separate from my job. I tried really hard not to, other than being the person that I am, not to share personal recovery with people, because that kind of, for me, crosses the line. That is, we don't get paid for 12-step work, right? So that to me seemed like 12-step work, and I was not about to do that. Again, I had some principles, which I was not about principles when I was out there drinking before I learned about this program and started working it. So what time is it? Oh, crap. Okay. So that was my life. I pretty much kept my head down, did this job, which I loved. I was in and out of a couple of relationships. I was in a relationship with someone who drank for 18 years, and I was sober. I was miserable in that relationship. And finally, well, I tried to leave a couple of times, and I decided, okay, I can't abandon this person, right? Her, actually, so let me just get out there all the way. I'm bisexual, and most of my lifetime has been with other women. And so throughout my whole sobriety, I have been with other women. Not that that really matters to you, but I get tired of trying to watch my pronouns, so it ain't they, it's her. She drank a lot. She kept it under the sink in the kitchen. Um, it never concerned me. What concerned me was just the relationship. And I didn't feel that I was being true to myself. 18 years ago, it took me a long time to get that message, right? So finally, I ended it and I left, and my daughter was 16 maybe. She had left me and went to live with her dad for a couple of years because she didn't like Cheryl. So, and I should have gotten that, right? But I really needed Al-Anon. I really needed Al-Anon. And I didn't have it. I went to a few meetings very early on. I also went to CODA, and I went to ACOA, and I went to NA, and I went to OA, and I went to all of those step programs. I think, again, I was looking for an easier, softer way. I didn't stay in any of them. I stayed in AA. So when I left Cheryl, got my own house, my daughter came back home, and it was still a struggle. She, of course, had a lot of resentments, and it took her years. We are now, she's almost 50. She'll be 50 in December. It took years for her to start to forgive me and trust me. I have made amends with her. I've made what we call living amends, just because I am the person that I am today, and I'm no longer doing harm to her. The big book, I don't believe anywhere in our literature talks about living amends, although I understand what they mean. But step 9 says direct amends, right? Mm-hmm. So I made those direct amends with her and with many other people in my life. Today, we came over to Salina today to do school shopping for my great-granddaughter. So, you know, she just calls me up, Mom, you want to go have lunch? It's pretty cool. Oh, I didn't tell you my home group. I think I'm wrapping up here. My home group is Women Working It in Muncie, Indiana, Saturday mornings at 9:30. So, if you have nothing to do on a Saturday morning and you want to drive for an hour, it's a really good meeting. We are 12-step, 12 traditions, and a book study. It's not an open discussion. I stay as much as I can in meetings that are about the literature study. I don't do well in meetings that are kind of open-ended and you never know what somebody comes in and wants to talk about what they bought at Walmart today. What's that got to do with my program? What's that got to do with me passing the message and working the 12-step? Not much, I find out. So that's not for me. And I stay in literature studies. I also go to Al-Anon twice a week. I really have to say I wish I had been strong enough or brave enough or whatever. In the early days to do Al-Anon, it would have saved me so much pain. AA is about me and my sobriety. Al-Anon is about me and my relationships. So I go on Wednesdays in Portland, and I go on Mondays in Hartford City, if you know where that is. It's another half hour west. Okay. Let me see if I've left anything really important out. I don't think I did. At any rate, even if I did, I'm probably going to stop it. I brought my big book just because it's kind of my security. And I brought this. Anybody heard the thing about can't find your higher power, get a doorknob? It can be a doorknob. I have a doorknob collection. Okay? That's why I brought my doorknob. So, seriously, this is one of the better ones. I bought most of them at flea markets, and they just sit around my house, right? A reminder, kind of like Christians might wear a crucifix, or, people might wear a yarmulke. I don't know. This is what I use, right? Because it's just a representation. It's not my higher power. It just represents my honesty, my open-mindedness, and my willingness to continue to stay sober one day at a time. I don't know if this is a prayer or not, but when I was in the halfway house, we had a therapist who would close every session with something. She would say, thank you for what you have given to me, for what you have taken from me, and for what you have left me. And I remember that all these years later, and I use it all the time in my own head. And whether or not I'm talking to your higher power or my higher power or the group, the therapist, whoever it was. I appreciate the opportunity today to do some service work with you, and that you have helped me stay sober another day. I am going to respectfully ask that we not go around and give comments. If anybody wants to talk to me, I'll stick around. You can come and talk to me, okay? I would really appreciate that if we don't. We don't do that. Okay.
Good.
All right. I think I'm done. Thank all of you.
All right.
That's all right, I don't have to write.
Okay.
You're not. Well, thank you, Becky. What now, Kevin?
Close the meeting.
Close it?
Close the meeting, yeah.
Okay.
And we can all talk to Becky individually.
Okay. Alrighty then, I guess let's.
Yeah, let's forget it this time. What's your name again? Neil? Oh. Is there a special way that I can do
Go for it, Kevin.
Who keeps us sober today?
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom, power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Keep coming back to our sister and punch you drunk.
Nice meeting you.
He ain't got one. What are we gonna do with those?
Great lead again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Everything else is good with.
Really?
Yeah.
So you got to
Good.
I will.
How's it going, sir?
All right, yourself?
Good. Good day today.
Yeah, but it'd be hard to, I don't think the prosecutor would be hard to get a criminal name. Certainly, civil harmful death suit in the beginning. Might as well just settle for the insurance maximum and see if they'll take that and be done with it. Because we're good, nail it. But, it just seems to me that, when I look at that,
Hey, Al.
Tom? I'm Sam.
what if
All right.
I had to carry that?
Anyway. Yeah, well,
It's only one way.
what?
It's only one way. I mean, the rest of your life has to be a life of atonement. I mean, you gotta try to help anybody you can, and Francis, if it's easy, you give all your, possessions away, and, breakfast to anybody what's hungry.
Hey, Fred. How's it going, sir?
Good.
you?
It's going.
Yeah.
Let's see it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing it, I just couldn't remember your name, and I tried to think of it, and I'm all eyes drawn on blanks, I couldn't even think of the first letter.
Yep. Nothing stopped us.
Yeah.
Why are you sober?
It'll be 40 years in January by the time. Yeah.
Wow, congratulations.
Why, thanks.
Yeah,
I planned to live that long.
good, good. Stay sober that long, too.
Exactly right.
That's the plan.
You know what they say, if I do what I did yesterday,
What's the best thing
tomorrow, I'm gonna
The same old
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
Enjoy the cooler weather.
Yeah. It was about time when.
Yeah, but the dog days of August are gonna be it.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be.
Can't last too long.
Last year it was actually cooler than it was before.
It was sunny
Well, it seems like
today.
the years get later,
About
you
1
know,
o'clock.
winter comes later, you know, it
Well, we
used
go
to.
from
When I got in
winter
there,
to summer, we don't have the four
Like
seasons.
Yeah.
laid in zero gravity chair for about half an hour.
Not much of one.
My arms looked like I was getting some sun.
Couple of weeks maybe, it's about it, you know.
You know what they say, you got in 20 minutes of exposure on a day like today, in terms of vitamin D, 25,000 international units in 20 minutes.
I should have got loaded with vitamin D this summer already there. But I still take it.
Who's chairing this month?
Mindy?
Mindy? Cool. Must be smoking. Howdy, sir. Hey, Don.
Sam, you wanna read something?
Don't matter to me.
You're the first person I asked, so you get your pick.
Give me the thumb.
Now?
Thank you.
Anything you want?
There, that one.
Wayne, you wanna read?
Yeah, throw it out here.
Whatever you like. Brett?
Welcome and thank you for choosing freeconferencecall.com. You're helping people around the world. If you are the host, press star. Please enter your PIN followed.
You know what I was going to do? I was going to call in and record it from the phone.
Were you?
Yeah, I thought about it. That's just wrong to do, but my luck here is not that good in Mercer County. I love kidding Reed.
I'm not ready yet, Wes, don't be looking at your watch.
Hi, Jen.
Hi.
You're all Mary. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm all right. So you in charge?
I don't want to, but I guess I have to. Yeah.
You're all right.
Good, how are you, Wayne?
Neil, you wanna read?
I'm good.
Huh? Okay.
I'll read.
Hey,
Hey.
What is that Neil saying?
You never did this, did you?
No.
Here's kind of a little outline of what we go by.
Okay.
Just here, introduce yourself, start with a serenity. There's the preamble.
Okay.
And then everybody, the readings are out there.
Okay.
And then you just ask someone, I have a friend that has.
Okay. When do I do that?
Right here,
Okay.
after serenity prayer.
Okay, I think I got this maybe. And
Yeah.
if I screw up, oh well.
It's really simple.
You just screw up. You don't get fired.
Well,
you don't
maybe I wouldn't be fired.
You don't get fired.
Same.
And then Becky will.
Yeah, Jody told me that. I think.
Becky's gonna give the lead and just kind of go down the
Okay.
thing here.
If you screw up, please have to keep doing it.
Oh no, that's what I heard.
I'm gonna have to do that. Now, some rest today.
Did ya?
Your name is Mindy?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Locked and loaded.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I went down the door, all through the night, you just never know.
I missed Wednesday night and Saturday morning.
Yeah, yeah. Becky would be bringing a whole busload.
Yeah.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Hello?
I'm in that.
Hi.
Except nobody knows. That's okay.
Hi, Sharon.
Sharon's here.
Hi.
Hello?
Who are you?
Hello?
Hi. We will start the meeting, I guess. My name is Mindy, and I am an alcoholic.
Hey, Mindy.
Can we have a moment of silence for those who are sick and still suffering, and followed by the serenity prayer? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. The AA Preamble, Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of people who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help the other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. I've asked a friend to read how it works.
Wait, I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Wade.
How it works. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. They are such unfortunates. They are not at fault, they seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those too who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. And some of these we thought. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our own ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful. Without help, it is too much for us. But there is one who has all power, and that is God. May you find him now. Half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. Here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice principles in all of our affairs. Many of us explained what an order. I can't go through with it.
Sure you can.
Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. The point is that we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. Principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear 3 pertinent ideas. A, that we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. B, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. And C, that God could have known we were sorry.
Thanks, Wayne.
Thanks, Wayne. I've asked a friend to read the promises.
I'm an alcoholic.
Yeah.
AA promises. We are facing about this stage of our development. We will be amazed before we are halfway through. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the worst enemy and we will ensure peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. The feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations with hugely doubtful. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises?
No. We think not.
Not. They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They always materialize if we work.
Hey, Val.
I think so. I've asked a friend to read Daily Reflections.
Sam, recovering alcoholic.
Hi, Sam.
August 3rd. To be of service. Our real purpose is to fit ourselves to be of maximum service to God and the people about us. Alcoholics Anonymous, page 77. It is clear that God's plan for me is expressed through love. God loved me enough to take me from alleys and jails so that I may be made a useful participant in his world. My response is to love all of his children through service and by example. I ask God to help me imitate his love for me and through my love for others.
Thanks.
Thanks, Sam. I've asked a friend to read 24 hours a day.
I'm Jen on alcohol.
Hey, Jen.
Today is the third. All right. August 3rd, thought for the day. We in AA must remember that we are offering something intangible. We are offering a psychological and spiritual program. We are not offering a medical program. If people need medical treatment, we call in a doctor. If they need a medical prescription, we let the doctor prescribe for them. If they need hospital treatment, we let the hospital take care of them. Our vital AA work begins when a person is physically able to receive it. Am I willing to leave medical care to the doctors? Meditation for the day. Each moment of your day which you devote to this new way of life is a gift to God. The gift of the moments. Even when your desire to serve God is sincere, it is not an easy thing to give him many of these moments. The daily things you would plan to do, given up gladly so that you can perform a good service or say a kind word. If you can see God's purpose in many situations, it will be easier to give him many moments of your day. Every situation has two interpretations, your own and God's. Try to handle each situation in the way you believe God would have it handled. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may make my day count somewhat for God. I pray that I may not spend it all selfishly.
Thanks, Jen. I've asked Kevin to give out tokens.
Kevin, I'm alcoholic.
Hey, Kevin.
Fort Recovery group here, we give out tokens to recognize different lengths of sobriety. First token we give out is a 24-hour token. Does anybody need a 24-hour token? Okay, then we move on to monthly tokens. We have 1 month through 11 months. Does anybody need a monthly token today? Okay. Then we move on up to yearly tokens. We have a 1-year token. Then I believe we have an 18-month token. And then we have yearly tokens thereafter, from 2 years up to a whole bunch of years. Anybody need a token tonight? Does anybody have any length of sobriety that they'd like to have recognized? All right, well, we're all sober today, so let's give ourselves a hand.
Thanks, Kevin. There's loose leaf literature on that back table, meeting schedules, and books at no cost. Now the announcements. District 23 gathering September 13th, KC Geiger Park in St. Mary's. Meet at noon and eat at 12:30. Bring a covered dish and a friend. Hamburgers, hot dogs, pop, and water provided. Free mini golf. Does anybody else have anything else?
I'm Jen, I'm an alcoholic. The Indian Lake 14th anniversary is August 16th, which is in like 2 weeks. They will have a guest speaker, Tom F. The doors open at 5, dinner at 6, lead at 7. There will be a 50-50 drawing and door prizes. Food, condiments, and drinks provided by the group. Bring addition friend.
Kevin, I'm an alcoholic. And you said about the picnic?
Yeah, at St. Mary's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing that I've got is, I don't have a flyer on it yet, but save the date for September 27th. That's a party at my house.
Okay.
And I do that every year, and be September 27th, probably start around 4, but I will get some information out here. I got a couple people working on some flyers, so.
Well, probably will be coming from 3 or 4 states.
Oh, I'm sure. And, so yeah, just keep that date, save that date, and I'll get more information coming. Oh, and then we missed one reading, and it's not on your paper, but it's as Bill sees it.
Okay.
It's not on your paper.
Okay.
No matter how much one wishes to try, I'm Fred, I'm an alcoholic. No matter how much one wishes to try, exactly how can he turn his own will and life, his own life over to the care of whatever God he thinks it is. In the beginning, even the smallest is all that is needed. Once we have placed the key of willingness in the lock and have the door ever so slightly open, we find that we can always open it some more. Though self-will may slam it shut again, as it frequently does, it will always respond the moment we again pick up the key of willingness.
Thanks, Fred.
Thanks, Fred. The basket's going around, and I'm gonna have everyone introduce themselves. I'm Mindy, I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Mindy.
Still Jen, still an alcoholic.
Hey, Jim.
My name's Becky, I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Becky.
Neil.
Sam.
Sam.
I'm an alcoholic.
Al.
My name's Wes, I'm an alcoholic.
Kevin, I'm an alcoholic.
Kevin.
Wayne, I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Norman.
Wayne, I'm Fred, I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Fred.
Don alcoholic.
Hey,
Andrew alcoholic.
Andrew.
Jared alcoholic.
Hey, Jared.
I'm Tom, alcoholic.
Hey, Tom. And the phone?
And can you introduce yourselves on the phone? I'm Sharon, recovering alcoholic.
Hey, Sharon.
I'm Russ, I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Russ.
Hey, Russ.
Did it?
Yeah, sounds like it.
All right, here in Fort Recovery, this is a lead meeting, and I'm gonna give it to Becky.